Audi India has launched the Facelift Q7, and to talk more about it, I have with me Mr. Balbir Singh Dhillon. Thank you so much, Mr. Dhillon, for taking time out for us. My first question, Q7, you have, there is a bit of a price advantage to Q7 in the segment. So what was your pricing strategy, and also what are you expecting from Q7 from here on?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of a background. You know, we are celebrating 100,000 cars sale this year, of which the Q7 has been 10,000 plus cars. So we have really very strong presence of this car, and what we are today as a brand, this has been one of the very strong contributed in making what we are today. And we want to offer these cars to as wider segment of customers as possible. So we've been very, very strongly present and one of the highest selling within this segment. And we continue to offer this to our customers a value when it comes to the size of the car. And our idea is to offer this value to our customers because the segment below this is the biggest segment in the automotive luxury space. So since a lot of customers are moving into this segment from the biggest segment, our idea is to bring them to Q7, because once we bring customers to Q7, 35% of our buyers of Q7, they buy Q7 again. Okay. So that's the kind of loyalty that we have in Q7. So it works in our favor that we offer this to a wider segment of incoming buyers for the first time.
Okay, so clearly Q7 people love their Q7s.
Absolutely.
Now, when you were giving the presentation, you were talking about luxury car market. This year is going to be the highest ever sale for luxury car market, despite the fact that the growth has not been so much, but because last year we grew so much.
Yeah.
So what is your expectation from here on? Because there are headwinds for luxury car market too.
So I think in general, let's look at how the industry is shaping as a whole. So my sense is that the automotive industry in last 3 years has grown at about 16% CAGR. The luxury space has grown at about 33% on a CAGR basis, and we have grown at about 73% last 3 years. So that's how the growth has been. And you're right, this year the growth has the percentage growth has reduced. So let's say first 9 months of this year has been 5 to 6% growth. And that primarily is because we are coming back from a very strong growth.
Yeah.
So in spite of the slow growth, this year will cross 50,000 cars. So this will be the strongest year ever. I think going forward, I can only sense that maybe a double-digit growth will still happen. So we are looking at about 10%, 8 to 10% growth next year. That is what we anticipate. But I think this kind of still, since the luxury space still is very small, just above 1%. Of the overall industry. So my sense is that whatever the overall industry grows, the luxury segment grows double than that. And that's also coming from the past. The past 3 years, all these years, you see the luxury segment is growing twice as a percentage. So I think this will also continue to grow the next coming years.
Okay, and what's leading to the luxury segment growth from here on? What's going to be the main catalyst for the luxury segment growth?
I think most of it is the growth of the HNIs, the high net worth individual, and that is where we're dealing with our customer bases, the customers who are from this category, where the earnings per annum is certain level and above. And we do see this growing in next 5 years. Our estimate is between 23 to 28, the potential ultra high net worth individual will grow by 50% and will reach 1.65 million customers. So this is the width that we are getting, and these many people are becoming rich, as families are becoming richer, and that's where we are focusing, and these are our potential buyers.
And what are those segments or sectors that are showing more of HNI growth?
I think it's quite widespread, but just to, let's say, touch base a few, you look at the participation in the stock market. It is constantly growing, and the younger people are participating. You look at the startups, the new startups, and there's so many millionaires that are coming out of one startup, and we have so many startups. And yes, of course, there are so many startups but successful. Listings, the number of listings that are happening in the stock market, the real estate, the movement in the real estate, the luxury space in the real estate. So I think there is a wealth creation which is happening at this point in time, be it manufacturing sector, be it IT sector, be it service sector, and this is all leading to eventually growth of HNIs, and that's what I think. It's quite widespread. I can't say one single thing, and I think this is the decade of India, maybe next 2-3 decades of India, and I feel really proud that I'm living this time. And, and we are all seeing when we travel abroad, when we travel to our headquarters, India is a shining star, and that's what really gives me goosebumps, and I'm part of this.
Okay, so there are few challenges going ahead, especially for you, because we saw some supply constraints this year, but now there is some geopolitical tension. How do you see that impacting your immediate business, be it the trouble in Middle East or Russia-Ukraine?
So I think we, post-pandemic, we have seen that the world is not the same anymore. So there are challenges, and we are all connected. The cars have thousands of parts, and they're coming from hundreds of locations. So if there is some disbalance somewhere, there are challenges of supply chain. Not only that, the costs going up. If the cars are moving and the ships are moving in a different direction, not coming via Red Sea, coming via a different route, the costs go up. So one of the challenges is the cost. So the costs have been constantly going up. So this is one of the biggest challenge. But I think we have kind of aligned to live with different situations. So, and of course, challenges, if I don't have cars to sell, or if I have less cars to sell, that hits my numbers.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we have to live with it and continue to push as much as we can. Also to get as many allocation from headquarters for us as an India market, because we are a growing market, and that's our constant challenge. But I think this is part of life now. We don't feel discouraged by one issue or the other. We just put our heads down, see what is positive, and move on.
Including the fact that rupee has been on a decline, how has that impacted your business?
Like I said, I think this is, in general, if you see, all of this puts pressure on the cost. So, and we are, let's say, a decent inflation country in general, 5 to 6% inflation that we live in. And to that extent, we have to increase our prices from time to time. Like this year, in the month of June, July, we took a, let's say, about 1% price increase. We're still evaluating. Maybe we'll announce next week what kind of price we can absorb and what kind of price we need to pass on from January next year. So this is what we are evaluating. So all of this, I think, eventually puts pressure on the pricing, which is, of course, a challenge. But I think everybody understands. As an employee of an organization, I know every year the salaries also grow for people. So we kind of mitigate our inflation with incomes that we generate for ourselves. So that is part of life. So with inflation, we'll continue, but we'll sell more.
Okay, one last question about this macro aspect, then we will talk a little bit more about Q7, which is with all these aspects, do you think that your margins are under pressure? Because we have seen that there were huge discounting in the festive season as well. How has the festive season been for you? What is the margin picture looking like for you, and what is your growth target for this year now?
So let me tell you, I'll take this answer a little holistic. In the luxury space, the supply cycle is very long. So if I have to increase or decrease my supplies from the back end, it takes between 6 to 9 months. So if the market, let's say we anticipated the market to grow by 12%, 13%, 15% this year, and it has grown by 5%, that means my supply is more than demand. Suddenly you build up inventory. So that's the time when we try to push as much as we can. In the meanwhile, we correct for the future. So this is a kind of a cycle that moves on. Sometimes demand is more, sometimes supply is more. So this is a little bit of adjustment we do from time to time. And of course, when there is a lot of pressure, when there is you have a lot of inventories build up, you try to bring in more potential buyer, you offer certain schemes to customers, and this is part of our life. Of course, when you have to put in more money to sell cars, it puts pressure on the bottom line, but this is part of our life. This is, we are not looking at 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It's a financial year cycle that sometimes it's up and sometimes it is down, and it is part of our day-to-day planning.
Okay, so, now about the Q7, this is a facelift, so what is its USP? What is it that people will flock to it for?
I think the most important thing for me personally would be the looks and the feel of the car. This is, like I said, something which is almost perfect, and we're trying to improve something which is already perfect. So we also limit ourselves not to make extreme changes. So, because this already has a lot of pull from the market, so we'll continue to have. So most important for me is the look of the car. So from front to the back, the looks that we've been able to change, the value that we've been able to add with, let's say, Bang & Olufsen sound system with 730 watts, 19 speakers, and the maneuverability of the car with quattro existing. All of this with we've also increased the size of the alloys. Of course, keeping in mind the Indian road conditions, we also don't go too extreme in increasing the size, because comfort is equally very, very important for our customers. So now with 20-inch alloy wheels, I think the looks of the car is really strong, and the offer that we give to our customers is probably one of the best.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you.
Dhillon, for taking time out. Thanks a lot.